Hello, Tiger fans. This is Colleen Houck coming at you from my office. This is the place where all the tiger magic happens. It's where I write all my books right here at my desk. I'm doing a Q&A on Tiger's Promise to get you all excited about the upcoming release of that book. And so I asked people to submit questions, and so I've got a list of about 15 or so that I'm going to go through. The first thing I wanted to do was talk to you a little bit about what Tiger's Promise is. It's a prequel to the Tiger's Curse series. So this book talks about what happened before Ren and Keshawn were cursed. So this book takes place 350 or so-ish years ago, before Kelsey came to be. And this is the story of Ren and Keshawn's fight over this young girl who is named Yesubai, who just happens to be the only daughter of Lokesh, who is the villain in my series. So it's a very interesting story, and I think you're all going to love it. So let's get started on the Q&A. The first one is, how long is Tiger's Promise? Tiger's Promise, I've done my homework, is 27,000 words, which is about 20% of 1/5 of the size of Tiger's Curse. And that one is 127,000 words. That gives you an idea. Question number 2, is the book in Yesubai's perspective? Yes. With the exception of the prologue, which is written in 3rd person. The rest of the book is written in 1st person in Yesubai's perspective. Okay, question number 3. Is Tiger's Promise what Tiger's Dream was going to be? No, Tiger's Dream is a completely different book. I'm still on that old chapter 8, like I've said for the last year. I haven't actually gone in and worked on Tiger's Dream in over a year because I've been busy doing some other projects. But Tiger's Dream is a full-length novel. And its position in the Tiger's Curse series is book number 5. So that gives you an idea. So Tiger's Promise is actually book 0.5, which means it takes place before Tiger's Curse happens. Question number 4, will Tiger's Promise be published in insert my country? So what I can tell you is that Tiger's Promise is going to be released in Germany, Brazil, and then English around the world. And it will also be released as an audiobook. Audible just purchased the rights to create an audiobook that will go with my other 4 audiobooks. So I'm excited about that. Brazil will be publishing both as an ebook and on paper. And Germany, I still don't know. The jury's still out on that one. And as far as the English version goes, we're planning to publish it as an ebook primarily. Okay, now for those of you who do live in other countries, if you're in Indonesia or if you're in Greece or you're in Hungary and you love the series and you're trying to get a hold of Tiger's Promise, the best thing to do is to reach out to the publisher whose books you bought and write them and say, hey, I heard there's this new novella coming out. You know, what can we do to get it here to our country, and then, you know, work with them on that. So definitely publishers will listen to their readers' voices. So if you raise your voice and say, hey, we want this book here, they'll probably try to find a way to make that happen. Okay, next question, number 5. Does Tiger's Promise include the upbringing of Ren and Keshawn? No, though it does feature the Rajaram family. Yesubai was not around when Ren and Keshawn were growing up, so she doesn't know anything about that. But you do see glimpses of the Rajaram family because Yesubai does live with them for a time. So you get to see, you know, Ren and Keshawn, and you also get to see the Emperor Rajaram and their father, and their mother Dishen, and Lokesh, of course, and Mr. Kadam. So you get to see almost all of the characters you know and love. Number 6, will Tiger's Promise tell us more about the amulet and the amulet's power? Not really, because the amulet, Yesubai doesn't really know much about it. She knows of it. But Lokesh, as you know, likes to withhold information. So she doesn't know as much as you do, the reader does, at this point, after having read the first 4 books. Number 7, what made you decide to give Yasubai magical abilities? So that's an interesting question, and so back in the Tiger books, Mr. Kadam had theorized or postulated to Kelsey that his progeny lived an exceptionally long time, and he believed that that was due to the amulet that he wore and the power retained therein. So when I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about how the longer you wore an amulet, the more power it would generate over time. And as we know, Lokesh wore 3 pieces of the amulet, and he's been alive for quite a long time. And so I was thinking about what would that have done to his posterity? You know, how would that have affected Yasubai? And I didn't intend to start off giving her any kind of magical abilities, but when I started writing her character, it just kind of made sense. And so she does have some abilities that I think will be very interesting to you guys to find out. Number 8, is Tiger's Promise something you've had in mind since the beginning? No, actually. When I wrote Tiger's Curse, Yasubai was just kind of a means to an end. She was just the impetus to get the tigers where they needed to be, and to start off the story with tension. It wasn't until I wrote Tiger's Quest that I really got interested in Yasubai, and that was when Kelsey and Keshawn were climbing the World Tree, and they stopped in the House of Birds and had an experience with Odin's ravens, Hugin and Munin, and Keshawn got to see the whole curse kind of happen from a new perspective. And so that made me think about, you know, his feelings. He had unresolved feelings about what had happened with Yasubai, and he still had really strong emotional angst because of it. And so going through that experience helped him process that. So that's kind of when I really started thinking about Yasubai and what a tragic character she was, and you know, growing up with her monster of a father that she had, and what that must have been like for her. And, you know, was she really a pawn that her father used, or was she someone that, you know, could have fought back, you know, if she had had more ability to? You know, what was her relationship with Keshawn and Ren? Did she love one of them, or did she love none of them, or both of them? You know, how did that work out? So it was a really interesting story to explore for me, and Yasubai became a very interesting mind to be in. Okay, number 9. Is it difficult flopping back and forth between different projects? Yes, it is. Not because I can't get into the characters again or get into the world. I mean, I've lived so long in the Tiger world, it's kind of where I live half my life now. And now that I'm writing the Egyptian books, I love being in that world as well. So the problem for me is when I go from one project to another project is remembering everything, because there's so many details and so many little things that you as the author have to retain in your mind, and I've always just relied on my brain for that. And I actually had to go, when I wrote the Yasubai book, and do my homework and reread everything to try to read between the lines and see what was happening. And I actually went back to the self-published version of Tiger's Curse, because there are more details in the self-published version of Tiger's Curse than there are in the new version. And so I was able to pull out things from there that if you have read that or are a big fan of the original version, you might recognize some things. So that was very helpful. But yeah, I've pulled out more info, and I had to do research to remember it all to write them. Number 10, is it hard to dive into the mind of a new character? Again, yes and no. With my new character in the Egyptian books, Lily, she and Kelsey, I think, would be really good friends if they met on the streets somewhere. They're a lot similar to each other. They have some things in common, some things are not in common, but they're both contemporary girls. So it's easier for me to slip into the mindset of a girl from the United States who, you know, lives in the modern world, as opposed to Yesubai, who is a girl from a different culture. She's very young. She's 16 in this book when we get started with her, and she's got a tragic family, and that is not something I have experienced, and so it was really hard to live with her and to see through her eyes, to see the world through the tragedy that is her life. So writing her was different for me, and but it was very interesting, and I really have grown to appreciate and like her. Number 11, what color is the cover? Well, my artist who does all my tiger books, Cliff Nielsen, he's working on the Tiger's Promise book as well, and he emailed me. I've seen the draft of it in black and white. I have not seen the color version yet. So when I asked him about the color, he said it will be purple with greenish blue hues and some gold. So there you go with color. Number 12 is Tiger's Promise about the past and the future. Tiger's Promise is solely about the past. This is all from Yesubai's perspective, so it begins and ends with her life. So there's nothing in there about the future, you know, future-ish stuff. So she doesn't see any of that. Question number 13, is there a book about Ren and Kelsey's future? Not at this time, although there is bonus material. There are 2 alternate endings to Tiger's Destiny. And if you go on my blog and you click bonus material or Tiger's Destiny, you should be able to read the alternate endings, and there is some future glimpse stuff there of Ren and Kelsey. Number 14, will you make posters? I am planning on making posters of the cover once it's done, and I will bring a stack with me to the Romantic Times conference and sign a whole bunch. And we'll also do some giveaways with some fun things too, including posters. Question number 15, is Ren in Tiger's Promise? Yes, Ren is in Tiger's Promise, though not as much as I think you all would like him to be. But on the blog tour that's going to be coming up, I'm writing a bonus piece in the Tiger's Promise time frame of Ren's perspective, so that you get a little bit more of Ren there. And last question, number 16, how do you get your hands on a hard copy? Those are going to be hard to come by. What we're creating right now is advanced reading copies, kind of like you'd see for another book that they use for promotional purposes. I'm not sure that Tiger's Promise will ever be put up for sale as a hard print book. We're certainly not ruling that out as a possibility, but definitely if that's something you're interested in, make your voice heard on my Twitter feed or on the Facebook Tiger's Curse page, and let people know about it, because publishers do pay attention to what fans want, and so if that's something that a lot of people want, you know, that's something they might have to capitulate to at some point. So other than that, I know I will be getting a few copies for promotional purposes, so I'll be able to do some really fun giveaways, including one during the YA scavenger hunt. So definitely take a look at that and make sure you're involved in those contests, and keep writing me. Hopefully I got to some of your questions. If there are still more burning questions that you have that I did not get to yet, please feel free to message me on Facebook or Twitter, and I'll try to answer them, as I try to answer a couple every day at least. So that's it for me. Thank you all for watching the video, and take care and enjoy Tiger's Promise that comes out again June 1st, 2014. Thanks everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.